This is really heavy. Okay, more about that in a minute. Hello everyone and welcome. I'm doing another response. Today is Friday the 21st of August 2009. And my name is Jason, in case you're new to my channel. So Brian did a really fun little video, and mine's going to be much longer than his, unfortunately, as mine always are, about movies. And he's probably a fairly young guy. I don't know exactly how old he is, but my guess is he's 25 or younger, whereas I am 40, and I was born much before him. So he asked 2 questions, and I'm actually going to give 3 answers because, you know, that's the way I roll. What's the first movie you remember seeing in the theater? What's the first Disney movie you remember seeing in a theater? And I will proceed to answer those now. So, like I said, I was born in 1969, and so the first one I thought I had probably seen was Jungle Book, which was released before I was born, originally in 1967. But Disney, you know, for those of you who are younger, what they did was there was no video back then. There wasn't really anything like HBO, really, cable. So what they would do is they would hold the movies and wait a number of years and then re-release them on the big screen, and they'd make another $20 million or so off of a movie that they didn't really have to do anything for other than advertise. So looking at the website, the Disney website, and I'll probably put the link in the sidebar. No, this way. Jungle Book was re-released in 1978, and I would have been 8 or 9 years old, depending on when it was released. So I probably saw it then. I also have a strong memory of Robin Hood, but that was released originally in 1973. I would have only been 3 or 4. I probably wouldn't actually remember if my parents took me. I have an older sister who's about 5 years older than me, so they probably would have taken the both of us. But and it wasn't re-released until 1982, which was just before it actually came out on videotape in '84. So I probably never saw Robin Hood on the big screen, but for some reason it sticks in my brain. Now, probably the first one, and I'm guessing this is probably the first Disney movie I really did see on the big screen, was Peter Pan. I have a distinct memory of Peter Pan, and it's possible it melds with my memories of the Peter Pan ride at Disneyland, because I grew up in Los Angeles. And we went to Disneyland a lot when I was a kid. So that came out in 1976. And I would have been, 6 or 7. So that's probably a good bet. I definitely, in their first release, saw things like The Rescuers in 1977, Fox and the Hound in '81, and then, of course, kind of the dark period for Disney animation, Black Cauldron in '85, Great Mouse Detective in '86, but I was already a teenager by then. Okay, so the first live-action movie I probably ever saw, I want to say that it, other than something I don't remember, was a Disney movie again, but a live-action Disney movie, and Disney used to make really good live-action films. It was called Escape to Witch Mountain, and they actually recently remade it, sort of, with The Rock. Dwayne Johnson, I think is his real name. But the original had this really cute girl in it who I had a total crush on when I was a teenager. And it was released in 1975, so that probably is something I could see them letting me and my older sister Linda go see. I would have been about 6 or so, and she would have been about 10 or 11. I also have a distinct memory of going to see a Bond film with my father, and I think it was The Spy Who Loved Me, which came out in 1977. I definitely remember the underwater lotus, and the cliff, not the cliff, he's skiing, and he jumps off and the parachute opens, and it's the Union Jack flag, and then it's the Bond music, and then it goes into the "Nobody does it half as good as you, baby, you're the best" song by, I don't remember who sang it, but I love that Bond film, by the way. And of course, other films that I remember from the 70s. I really wanted to go see Jaws because everybody was talking about it, but I was only like about 6 or 7, and we lived in California, so my parents, of course, wisely did not let me see it, or else I would have never gone swimming again. But my older sister saw it and, of course, would, torture me by saying, "Oh, it was so scary," and telling me about it. I certainly saw, huge films like Grease and the first Superman movie, which came out in 1978. I would have been the perfect age for that. And Saturday Night Fever, you know, which was a huge, huge movie. You guys, if you're younger, you don't even understand how epically huge that movie was. But it was R-rated, and rightfully so. If you've ever seen the film, there's some really heavy stuff in it. But Grease became so popular the next year, and they both starred John Travolta. So they re-edited Saturday Night Fever down to a PG. There was no PG-13 back then. And they re-released them as a double bill, and I went in the back of a station wagon with some friends to a drive-in movie theater and watched Grease and Saturday Night Fever. I remember that in Texas. Okay, and then, so my first movie, probably Escape to Witch Mountain. My first Disney movie, most likely Peter Pan. And I wanted to tell you, of course, the biggest movie of the 70s of all time, and the reason I was holding that book up, is Star Wars. And I was the perfect age when Star Wars first came out. I had, it came out in May of '77, so I would have been 7, but I turned 8 because, and this is my story, and I think I might have told this before on camera. If I have, and you watch this, let me know. I looked, I couldn't find it, but I'm going to have to go fast because I have about 3 minutes. My family moved. My father got a promotion in 1977, and my family, which included by now my younger brother Paul, who was born in 1975, we moved from California to Texas. My dad became the regional manager for Rolls-Royce Motors. He worked for the car company on the company side and the wholesale side of the entire Southwest region, Texas, Oklahoma, Louisiana, yada yada. And we moved to Dallas, Texas in 1977. I had finished 2nd grade and was going into 3rd grade in elementary school. And we moved into our house, and the reason I'll always remember this, on August 16th, 1977, it was the day Elvis Presley died. And so we had driven from California to Texas. We were tired. We went into a restaurant, and I don't know what happened. It came up on the TV or something. We're like, what's going on? And somebody's like, you don't know? Elvis died. But we didn't because, you know, we were moving. Anyway, so I begged my parents, oh, please, 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 you know, let me go see Star Wars. Take me to see Star Wars. You know, obviously they couldn't just drop me off. I was too young. My older sister wasn't that interested. You know, who knew? But, you know, the hype and all my friends talking about it and everything. It came out in May and just slowly grew. So by August, I was at like, you know, oh my God, I have to see this movie or I'm going to sever a limb. And so they finally took us. You know, we were just too busy moving house, everything for them to take me before you know, during the summer when it was kind of at its peak. But it was still playing in Dallas. This was back in the day, you know, when the screens were huge and everything. And my story is we got to the theater, so we probably saw it in late August or early September of 1977. That's how long movies played back then. You know, they didn't go away very fast, especially if it was popular like Star Wars. And they literally, we went to like, you know, we got a babysitter for my brother who was like 2 years old, and it was still sold out. We went on like a Friday night or a Saturday night at like 7 o'clock or something, and you know, my parents would have never stuck around if there was like a 9 or 10 o'clock show. So I knew this was our one chance. The line was long. We either were in line to get tickets or something, and the usher came out of the movie theater and was counting heads. And he's like, okay, and he touched me, and he hit my sister, and then my mom and my dad, and then the couple behind us, and he's like, that's it, we're sold out, Star Wars for 8 o'clock, or, you know, whatever it was. And so we just got in, and the theater was so crowded, I remember we couldn't sit with my parents. Me and my sister had to sit separate, so I was 8, she was probably about 12, and my parents sat separately, and I just remember, like, what, I mean, I was so blown away by Star Wars, and that's a subject for a whole nother vlog. But that movie, of course, is the hugest impression on me as a young person. And I just got this book. I didn't want to ship it to Japan because it weighs like 6 pounds, and it's called The Making of Star Wars. And this whole book, it's very thick, is all about the first movie. And I'm going to read it from cover to cover. So thanks, Brian, for an interesting topic. I hope that you guys enjoyed my ramblings, and I'll talk to you soon. Gotta say it. May the Force be with you. Peace.